Good morning, welcome back to another video. This is how well my morning's going so far. I've come over to Rowden to do the feeding up and all the bedding and whatever. Picked up a pair of gloves. I got two left-handed ones. That's how today's going to go. Normally Dr. Phil does this, but he's busy on Wednesday mornings saving the world in other ways, so I am here to do it today. So we've just got to shut everything back, get on and scrape them, push in the feed that needs pushing in, and then feed everything that needs feeding down to the other end. One day, Bulls, you'll make it to your new shed, which is just there. Hey, buddy. Just not quite yet, is it? Hey? Yes. Now, we have changed the way we do stuff over here slightly this year. We've now got the scrape mounted on the front of the tractor, as you can see, on a pin and cone headstock. Just saves having it mounted on the back of the tractor all the time, and also you do everything looking forwards now rather than backwards over your shoulder. First time, however, that I've used it, so we'll see how it goes. Beautiful. It certainly makes doing things like cleaning up the gaps here a lot easier. You haven't got to worry about a loader swinging round whilst trying to reverse round tight spaces. The bucket is now on with some straw in it, ready to go into the straw thrower. This is where we keep all our straw here. This is actually I think it was built as a dung midden. It's used as a straw store. So hopefully we've got enough straw in here for the entire winter for the animals here. We also store the grab spikes here and the bucket as well. I need to fire up the 130. Before I do so, I'll put it on the straw setting. So that's got these two levers here. This one is the speed of the main rotor in here, so the mixing rotor. So that one doesn't ever tend to move really, that's on the hair all the time. And then this one is the speed of the flywheel. So when you're throwing straw, you got to put it either in the tortoise or the hair. We tend to put it in the hair. And then when you want to use the tub mixer for dispensing feed, you just put it into neutral there. So that now engages the flywheel. That's good. That's about 200 kilos of straw. We'll get a little bit more in there yet. Must be a record for the most amount of knots in a bale ever. It's a double knot baler anyway, and then the string's all been changed halfway through, so it's got 3 loads of knots. We'll go and spit that out and then see how much more we need. Now, because this is the research part of the farm, we have to write down every morning how much straw every pen gets and how much feed and various concentrates and everything. So before I forget, these guys had 160 kilos of straw, so that is the blue group. Keep a bit of paper in the tractor to write it down with, and then in the office we got a proper book where we keep all the daily records. But if you try and keep a tally in your head of what you've done, you never remember it all, so better to write it down. How about that for a sunrise? Oh, we'll whip round and do another shed and then load up again, and then we'll be able to start doing some feeding. Not that you can see through this filthy window, but the little electric Merlo is over here. There is a bucket on it now as well. Guys at Southwest Handling got a bucket for it for us, so we'll use that for loading up the concentrates when we're doing that for the feeding in a minute. Saves having to take the grab off the loader tractor all the time. Now this wagon can be temperamental going into gear. It does go bang sometimes, like that. It does seem to be working, so that's good. Got a button here that opens up the flywheel. The good thing about this wagon is because it's tall, you can get the straw right down tight against the front of the pens, whereas the normal straw stopper, you can't always do that. You end up just blowing everything to the back. And sometimes that goes bang and the shear box breaks. But this time it seems to have been alright. It will then randomly go into gear smooth as butter other times, so why that is I don't really know. You just got to make sure you're dead straight. If you've got a power shaft on an angle at all, it doesn't like that. Or if you've got any sort of revs on the tractor, it doesn't like that. This guy's snoozing. Make it nice and clean for you boys. Strawing up done. First thing you got to do is make sure you put the flywheel back in neutral. Turn the screen round because we now need to know what we're loading. Now, when we made the silage earlier in the year, we were sort of waiting and waiting and waiting. We had such a cold, wet spring that the grass never really got going. And in the end, we just had to cut it, and we've got nowhere near enough clamp silage in this pit to last the winter. Now you can just about see the mark on the wall where it came to there. That was last year. And nearly half of it's gone already. It doesn't help that there's so many of the green cattle come back in that we normally finish at grazing because they weren't fit to go, so they're back in. And yeah, the grass just wasn't there. We have got loads and loads of second cut bales back at the other farm. We'll just have to bring those over here when we need them. This is quite a cool little joystick here in this tractor, so if I pull this back, it lifts the grab up. And the third service functions are actually on these buttons either side here and here, so if I push that one, look, it comes up. Do the one on my thumb, closes down. It's a really neat little joystick. I really like that. And this here is wheat distillers, so I need 9 kilos of that. We also put 100 grams a head of minerals in every day. Got a grab full of silage, so this mix for the greens is just silage and a tiny bit of wheat distillers, so I haven't got to do any big bucketing. Over here we've got some barley, so that is for the brown group. We'll use the Merlot to load up that because we'll need a lot more of it. Now the biggest problem I find with this farm is whenever you're doing feeding or scraping, the doors are never where you want them. So to get out of the feed passage, I've got to shut the scraper door to then be able to open that door. Which you might think, well, that's not a problem. But when you got to do that 3 times to start the morning, so you can go scraping, bedding, and then 3 times during feeding, so you can get out the feed passage, it adds up to a lot of time. Time is money. I actually remembered to put the wagon running this time. I nearly did forget putting that screen on. I think I've explained it a few times before, but for anyone that might be new, blue group, so this is going to feed the blue shed. This is silage made from the pasture that they graze on, which is a high clover content mix, so it's hopefully a better protein silage than the permanent pasture. Is to compare the different types of feed. The brown, which is next door, is that one. That is very similar to the greens. It's sort of permanent pasture silage. The difference with them being they're pumped full of rolled barley, and then the greens, it's very much just a standard. They get permanent pasture silage, they graze permanent pasture, and very, very little else. This is where the Merlot comes in handy, because normally we would have had to take the grab off the tractor, put the bucket on to now load up the concentrates for the mix we're doing. With the Merlot here, just grab this. The rolls. You would have struggled to fit that on top of a grab full of silage. Rapidly running out of camera battery, and I don't have another one with me, so I'm a very well organised YouTube content creator. These 5 here have got plenty of grub, so they did not need feeding this morning. I suspect there'll be some yard work to do back home when we get back there, because John's on his own, and definitely 1 lorry coming for a load of milling wheat this morning. There might be 2, so we'll give him a hand when we get back. We've got 1 more mix to do, which is the browns. It's probably the quickest one to do because it's just silage, barley, feed it out. Have I done all right? You like that? Seems to meet the seal of approval. They're certainly growing well. They're in fact, all 3 groups are either doing their target or above. These guys, we want to target a kilo a day, or 1.1 kilos a day. The browns want to be doing about 1.4, and the greens about 0.8, and they're all doing either that or more. So, happy days! Last load of feed going out for the morning. Come on then, Yik Yak, you can come back out now. Soft little boy, ain't you, hey? Just want to scratch. Yeah. So here is the magic book. I need to copy across all the stuff I've done from in the tractor into here. So it's just a running log every day. It's not Friday, is it? It's Wednesday. That's why we use a pencil. And this gets put on the online database, which is accessible and free for everyone to view if they want to. So you can see all the data that we put in, and like all the kill out weights and everything of the cattle as we go through the year. Dr. Phil has been working on making it a lot more easily accessible, but if you type into Google something like North Wyke farm platform online data, you should be able to find a link. You have to make a login, which is free, but you can then view our data. Well, I hope you enjoyed the little insight into what happens here on the research farm every morning. As I say, it's normally Dr. Phil, but on a Wednesday he has a meeting in the morning, so it means one of us comes and does the work for him. So it keeps our hand in so that when we need to do it, we can. As I say, we'll try and come back later to do the pushing in. I'm going back for breakfast. Breakfast is at 10:30. It's 9:15 now, so we'll go and see if John needs a hand with anything. Currently back home in one of the silage pits. I've just been giving John a hand to do the yard work. He's had 2 lorries come in this morning for wheat, so he's got a little bit behind because he's been here on his own. So I've just finished bedding up. I've loaded this straw chopper up again for the morning. We've probably got about 1 load of wheat left, but we'll use some for feeding. There's some there behind me rolled up, so we probably won't sell that. We'll keep it and feed it. I'm now going to head back to the other farm, so I need to fill up those feeders with sugar beet and the green feed machines. So we'll grab a truck. I'm going to grab a couple bags of sugar beet off the stack here. We'll head over there and do that. All the cattle have EID tags. They wander into the machine. It looks like an outer parlour feeder. It knows who's in there because of their ear tag. And then once they are in there, depending on how many times they've been in there during the day, it will drop down a degree of sugar beet for them. Or you can feed them manually by pressing this button here. So it does that beep, beep. And then you hear a little bit of food dispense. And whilst that animal is in there eating, the machine is taking samples from its breath as it's breathing. That then turns itself into some form of data. It goes off to the company who produce the machines called Silage, which I believe are in America, and then we get the data back in some form of interpreted form. I'm not really sure how the background side of it works, but essentially it's an out of parlour feeder. Cow goes in, recognises the ear tag, dispenses a feed, takes a sample of breath. It's only 4 o'clock and well, don't look too bad, does it? But it's getting dark. And we're going to jump in this machine and do some pushing in. You can see, I don't really know, but I would say that's about right. That'll be nearly gone in the morning. We don't ever want them to really run out because we don't want them being hungry, but at the same time we don't want loads left. It's a fine line, this old feeding job. One last job to do. Lock this one away. We'll hopefully find some time to do some cattle jobs. I want to weight those calves. We need to clean something out before Christmas because we'll need the solid dung to mix with the slurry stuff. But where we're going to find that time from, I don't know. But thank you very much for watching the video. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And check out all the links in the description. I'm sure there's something there you'll find interesting. And we'll see you guys on another video very soon. Cheerio.